Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to showcase our journey and our steps to obtaining the Canadian passport. In our previous videos, you have noticed that we actually did obtain the Canadian passport. So we thought, what not better of a time to record our journey, our steps, and our experience in obtaining the Canadian passport. In our previous episodes, we did showcase how we migrated to Canada, how we became Canadian PRs, migrating from Trinidad. We also went into full detail of all the steps that we took through the express entry route. After that, we did apply for our Canadian citizenship. And right after that, we obtained our Canadian citizenship certificate. Now we're going to showcase our steps of obtaining the Canadian passport. Now we did look up online previously to see like what the steps were and if any other YouTubers had documented their steps. Yes, we did find some, but we actually didn't find any Trinidadians who actually migrated to Canada and applied for their Canadian passport. So that's why we wanted to make this video to showcase our experience and our journey. If you're new to the channel, we are Trinidadians who migrated to Canada and we wanted to showcase our journey and our experiences in Canada, and that's what the channel is about. First-hand experience and really our life here, challenges, the changes, and yeah. So if you're new to the channel, yeah, so it's welcome. And without further ado, let's get into the process. All right, so let's talk about eligibility. Well, the first thing you need to know before you apply for your Canadian passport is that you need to be a Canadian citizen. We were just recently sworn in as Canadian citizens and we obtained our Canadian citizenship certificate. You do need this Canadian citizenship certificate to apply for your Canadian passport. So please keep that in mind. We got ours a couple days after we were sworn in. This is part of the process. So later on, I'll show you the requirements of all the documents that you need. But first off, you need to be a Canadian citizen.
So the first step that you need to take when applying for your Canadian passport is that you have to complete the form that's available on the canada.ca website. You can either do it electronically or you can do it through paper. In terms of additional documents that you need to submit along with the form, so you need to attach the printed copy of your Canadian citizenship certificate. You must attach proof of your Canadian citizenship. This can be a birth certificate or your actual citizenship certificate. In our case, as we're applying for our Canadian passport for the first time, we had to submit our Canadian citizenship certificate. If you have the paper certificate, then you must attach the original document, not a photocopy. Or in our case, we had the e-certificate, so you just need to print it out and attach it to your form. The second document that's required is a proof of identity. You need to submit a photocopy of your driver's license, or you can even submit a photocopy of your health card. However, you need to submit both sides of your identity. The third document that you need to submit are two identical passport photos. On the website, you will see the photo specifications. You can go to any photo studio and let them know, and they'll be able to take these photos for you. The last document you need to submit with the form is a guarantor and two references. So basically, a reference is anyone that has known you for at least 2 years. However, a reference cannot be a family member. A guarantor can be anyone, including a family member or a member of your household. However, the difference is that your guarantor must sign the back of one of your passport photos. So actually, when you go to take your photos and you tell the persons there at the photo studio that you're taking passport photos and it's the first time you're applying for your passport, they already have a printed stencil of the information that has to go on the back of one of the passport photos for the signature of your guarantor, the date in which it was signed as well. And your guarantor also has to sign and date the photocopies of each supporting identification that you submit. In our case, our guarantor had to sign our driver's license, and we also submitted copies of our Trinidad passport as a form of ID that our guarantor also signed. Some other information about the requirements and the eligibility for a guarantor. So this person must have also have known you for at least 2 years. They must be available if they need to be contacted. They must be a Canadian citizen, of 18 years of age or older. They also need to provide information from their own passport for you to fill out on the form. And they must be a holder of either a 5-year or a 10-year Canadian passport that has not expired for more than 1 year. Now, if you are unable to find a guarantor, there are some options for you. So you can actually have what is called an occupation-based guarantor. So this can be someone who is either registered or licensed with the appropriate local authority to practice their profession, such as judges, even those in the medical field, such as dentists, pharmacists, police officers, notary, public lawyers, etc. So for us, because the references cannot be a family member, we decided to have our references be work references. So if you are employed in Canada, we would strongly recommend, especially if you have been employed for a minimum of 2 years and your employer has known you, they would be, I would say, the best options for your reference versus a guarantor. It can be anyone else, even a family member in Canada. So in terms of the fees for the passport, so this varies depending on the passport type that you're applying for. So you can either apply for a 5-year passport or a 10-year passport. The cost of applying for a 5-year passport is 120 Canadian dollars versus if you're applying for a 10-year passport, it will cost 160 Canadian dollars. We decided to go with the 10-year passport to limit the amount of times we may have to renew it. So we paid 160 Canadian per person. In terms of how you submit your forms and supporting documents, there are 2 ways in which you can do this. You can either submit it through the mail or you can apply in person. Depending on the route that you want to take, there are different processing times. If you apply through mail, it can take 20 business days plus additional time from the mail time. If you go in person, you can also have the option where it will take 20 business days to process, or depending if you need to travel early, you can also apply in person and you can get the passport within 2 to 9 business days. In terms of the processing times, there are 3 different types of processing times. There's standard, express, and urgent. So standard processing time takes between 10 to 20 business days plus mail time. If you're applying through this route, you can either go to a Service Canada center, which typically would take 20 business days to process, or you can go to your passport office, which will take 10 business days. In terms of going to the service center or the passport office, you can either make an appointment or you can do a walk-in. You can also apply through the standard processing time through the mail, but that also can take up to 20 business days plus mail time. The second processing type is express, and this usually takes between 2 to 9 business days. However, this is usually only required if you need your passport earlier than expected. And if that is the case, the only way to get it within this time frame is that you need to go to a passport office with express pickup service, and you need to either make an appointment or you can do a walk-in, and you may be subject to providing a proof why you need the passport earlier. And then the third processing type is urgent, and this is if you need your passport by the end of the next business day. The only way to do this is to go in person to a passport office with urgent pickup service. And there are no appointments for this type of service. They only accept walk-in only. But if you need your passport urgently, it is mandatory to provide proof as to why you need the passport. So typically this type of processing type would be because you need to travel urgently, maybe within the next day, or express may be more favorable if you're planning to travel within 7 days, either for work or for leisure. We decided to go with the mail route just because trying to get an appointment was very difficult. It's actually booked up a couple months in advance. We could have taken the chance to do a walk-in, but from doing a lot of research and actually visiting one of the offices in our local area, The line is very, very long, and you'll be waiting for several hours, if not for most of the day, to try and get inside the office. So it didn't make sense for us to waste a day to get our passport, and for us, we didn't need it urgently. So we decided it was just easier to mail it in and wait for the 20 business days.
Okay, so now we're just going to talk about the processing times. We did a very good job of documenting all the different processing times just to show you all. So yeah, so here we go with the processing times.
So in terms of our timeline, we were able to submit our application form and supporting documents on April 7th. We went to a local courier service, and because we didn't want to take the chance of it being delayed, we decided to do overnight express shipping. So we paid a little bit more, but that would have guaranteed it would have reached the destination, which is Quebec, within 2 business days. So we submitted on April 7th, and we have also applied for tracking. So we were able to see online when it actually arrived, and it actually arrived exact 2 days later, which was on April 9th. So once it arrived to the Quebec office on April 9th, you need to basically wait a bit for it to actually be registered in the system. And you can actually track it online to see your processing times. But normally you need to wait about 7 business days to actually see the status online. And because we submitted it through the mail, we actually had to request what is called a file number. So you need a file number to actually track your application online. So I officially requested the file number on April 15th, but I only found out at that point in time that it had not as yet passed 10 business days. So you actually need to wait for 10 business days after it arrived in order to apply for the file number. So I waited a bit, and the next time I applied for the file number was on April 24th, and we were able to get a file number for each of our applications. And only when we got the file number within the next day, which was on April 25th, our credit cards were officially charged for the fee for the passport. And then on May 3rd, we got our citizenship certificates returned to us in the mail, and in that envelope was attached a form that said we were in the final stages and that we should expect to receive our Canadian passport very soon. On May 8th, I received my Canadian passport in the mail, and then on May 11th, Surin received his passport in the mail. So in total, the timeline from the time we submitted our Canadian passport application, from the time it was received up until the time we received our passport, the total time it took for us to receive it was actually just about 30 days. So just keep that in mind. So even though the website says when you mail it in, it takes 20 business days plus mail time, just keep that in mind. For us, again, it wasn't an issue to wait 30 days to receive it because we didn't have any urgent travel plans. But if you need to have your passport earlier, then I would suggest going to your Service Canada or your local passport office. And another tip I have, if you're going that route, go on the website and you will actually find within your area where your Service Canada and local passport offices are located, and it even shows you the waiting times as well if you're planning to do a walk-in. So there are certain times in the day that are really heavy in terms of persons. So keep that in mind if you're deciding to go in person.
Okay guys, that brings us to the end of the video. This is our last application process. If you're new to the channel, please go. I'll link down below our application processes. The first application process was us migrating from Trinidad to Canada through the Express Entry route. We did a full video in all details. I'll link it down below. The next application process was the Canadian citizenship application. We did a full process on that as well. I'll link it down below. So if you're new to the channel, please, thanks for making it all the way through. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Please hit that bell notification and stay tuned for more videos from us. So thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.